In Caracas, a storm is brewing. It could change the future of Venezuela. U.S. forces made a bold move. They toppled Nicolás Maduro. He was dragged from his presidential palace. Now, he faces charges of narco-terrorism in New York. In the wake of this event, Delcy Rodríguez, Venezuela's interim leader, acts quickly. She sacks General Javier Marcano Tabata. He was responsible for Maduro's security. But why this decision? What does it reveal about the power struggle in Venezuela? And what does it mean for a country on the brink of collapse? This is not just a change in leadership, it's a shift that could affect millions. But before we look ahead, we need to understand how we got here. Venezuela stands at a crossroads. The arrest of Maduro wasn't just a political event. It was a crisis, a turning point. For years, Maduro's government has teetered on the edge. The country's economy is in free fall. Inflation has reached unimaginable levels. The people are suffering. But what made this moment different? It's the direct intervention of the United States. For decades, the U.S. has been involved in Venezuela's political game. But this time, it's personal. The U.S. has made its intentions clear. President Donald Trump spoke about running Venezuela. His message was sharp and uncompromising. Rodríguez, the new interim leader, finds herself in a delicate position. She is aligned with Maduro, yet the U.S. demands her cooperation. Will she comply, or will she take Venezuela in a new direction? To understand what's happening today, we need to look at Venezuela's history. This isn't a new crisis. It's the result of years of economic mismanagement, political corruption, and growing international isolation. Under Hugo Chavez, Venezuela's economy relied heavily on oil. It was a time of plenty. But as oil prices fell, the country's fragile economy began to crumble. Maduro, Chavez's successor, inherited a sinking ship. His government failed to diversify the economy, and corruption ran rampant. The country's wealth evaporated, but the political elites held on to power. The people were left to suffer. The seeds of this crisis were planted long before Maduro's arrest. But the U.S. operation to capture him has accelerated the downfall. On the night of the U.S. operation, the world watched in shock. Maduro, the man who had clung to power for years, was taken from his palace. U.S. forces carried out a daring raid in the heart of Caracas. They seized Maduro with precision, overpowering his personal security detail. The implications were immediate. Venezuela's military, once the backbone of Maduro's regime, was exposed as vulnerable. The operation was a clear message from the U.S. No one, not even the president, was untouchable. For the Venezuelan people, this moment was both a victory and a humiliation. The man who had ruled them with iron-fisted control was now a prisoner. But in the chaos that followed, a question arose. Who would lead Venezuela now? What's often missed in this crisis is the hidden mechanism that keeps the system running. The Venezuelan government is not just a figurehead, it's a complex, deeply ingrained system of control. Behind the scenes, military and intelligence services have long been the true power brokers. The Presidential Guard, which failed to protect Maduro during the raid, wasn't the only institution with significant power. The Military Intelligence Unit, DGCIM, has played a central role in maintaining control over the population. But it's more than just a security apparatus. The DGCIM has been involved in suppressing dissent, torturing political opponents, and silencing critics. General Marcano Tabata, who led the Presidential Guard, was also in charge of DGCIM. This is the system that allowed Maduro's regime to survive for so long. But now, it's unraveling. With Maduro gone, Venezuela is thrust into even greater turmoil. A power vacuum now looms large over the country. General Marcano Tabata's dismissal is a signal of the chaos within the ranks of those still loyal to the old regime. But it's also a sign of how fragile the leadership is. Rodríguez, the new interim leader, must quickly assert her authority. But every move she makes is under intense scrutiny. Her allies are watching her closely. but so is the US. As if this wasn't enough, the threat of another US strike is imminent. President Trump has already warned of a second wave of strikes if Rodríguez fails to comply. The military, once a solid pillar of support, is now splintering. Those who supported Maduro are divided, and the interim government must now navigate a web of conflicting loyalties and external pressures. Venezuela is teetering on the edge. No one knows which way the scales will tip. For the people of Venezuela, this is more than just a political game. It's a fight for survival. The average Venezuelan has lived through years of hyperinflation, food shortages, and a collapsing healthcare system. Maduro's regime left them struggling to find basic necessities. But with Maduro's removal, what changes? In theory, the interim government promises a new direction. Rodríguez speaks of cooperation with the US. But can the people trust her? There's a growing sense of betrayal. Many supporters of the government feel humiliated by the way Maduro was captured. The military's failure to protect him is seen as a deep insult. Venezuelans are left with more questions than answers. What future lies ahead for them? Venezuela's crisis is no longer just a national issue. It has become a global one. The US's actions in Venezuela are not isolated. The ripple effects are felt around the world, particularly in Latin America. Venezuela has long been a key player in the region, with close ties to Cuba and Russia. These allies are now scrambling to reassess their position. The US is not just targeting Maduro's government, it's signaling to other authoritarian regimes that they, too, could be vulnerable. The geopolitical stakes are high. Oil, of course, remains central to this game. Venezuela holds the world's largest oil reserves, and the US is eyeing its energy resources. The international community, meanwhile, is divided. Some support the interim government, while others fear it could lead to more instability. Venezuela's crisis is no longer just a regional concern. It's a flashpoint that could shape global politics for years to come. The future of Venezuela is uncertain. What happens next will depend on the choices made by its leaders and the influence of external powers. There are three potential paths the country could take. Scenario 1, a return to stability. In this best-case scenario, the interim government successfully navigates the turmoil. Rodríguez finds a way to unite the fractured military and political factions. She makes peace with the US, and Venezuela begins a slow recovery. The people are given hope, and the country stabilizes. Scenario 2, continued chaos. In this middle ground, Venezuela continues to spiral. The interim government struggles to assert control. The military remains divided, and economic hardship deepens. The US continues its pressure, and international involvement grows. The people grow increasingly disillusioned, but no clear solution emerges. Scenario 3, total collapse. In the worst-case scenario, Venezuela descends into further chaos. The interim government fails, and a power struggle erupts within the military. The US escalates its involvement, and civil unrest turns violent. The country fractures further, and the people suffer the most. The path Venezuela takes will depend on the decisions made in the coming months. The stakes have never been higher. Venezuela's fate is hanging by a thread. In these critical moments, the choices made by its leaders, both inside the country and abroad, will determine whether the nation collapses or finds a new path forward. The world is watching. Every action, every decision could tip the balance. Delcy Rodríguez has the weight of history on her shoulders. She must navigate a treacherous political landscape filled with external pressure and internal divisions. But as we look ahead, the question remains, can Venezuela rebuild, or will it be lost to the forces of chaos? The answers may not come quickly, but one thing is clear, the future is uncertain, and it's up to the people of Venezuela and the world to shape what comes next. If you want to stay updated on this evolving crisis, don't forget to follow for more insights.